Oh, Joseph Kidd.
Apparently Jack Benson.
Chronic or Nikolonsky.
Allushin.
Do you feel like you've integrated into US lifestyle, and would you return back to EU if Rocket League wasn't a reason to stay in America?
Yeah, I think we've developed into an NA play style over time, while also still incorporating some, EU styles as well to balance it out. But yeah, I think I'd consider Europe if Rocket League wasn't a thing. So.
Sorry, did you ask about
living
lifestyle?
situation?
Yeah. So lifestyle for me, I mean, no. I hate America to put it bluntly. I much prefer, Europe. So yeah, I'm always kind of open to coming back, but I'll be at least staying there for the future. But yeah, I love Europe. It's more homely than America.
Do you feel like US is home for you now? Would you stay there after Rocket League?
No, nowhere's home but home, and that's a strong thing from someone from Liverpool. But yeah, I also wouldn't cancel out the option of staying in the US.
Jens from Shift, I'll just follow up with that. What's the biggest thing you're missing from living in EU?
Family and friends, I think, is usually the normal one that's, obviously going to be missing. And I think it's just, having people that you're familiar with, especially, going into a new environment, you're going to be on your own a lot, and you're going to be kind of dealing with situations on your own, which of course is part of growing up, it's a nice part of growing up, but can sometimes bring a lot of stress. But yeah, I'd say just stuff like that.
I'm alright for now. Yes, Edison from esports.ch. Has the additional traveling and integration, has that developed some more stress while training or taking a break, that you're not in the same environment that you grew up in, right? The closeness.
Yeah, I mean, it should be expected that it's going to add, extra stress. Like Jack said, being alone, away from family and friends. It's hard to be completely carefree knowing that you can be babied, depending on wins and losses. But at the same time, we're competitors, so we knew that coming over here. Well, coming over to the US.
Jack, last time we spoke was quite a while ago, and you were probably last season, and you were still in school or college for anything. Now you've graduated and you're fully focused on Rocket League. How have you found that you've evolved as a player?
Yeah, first off, is my mic on? There we go. I didn't realise we had to press that. Yeah, last time you spoke, we were I was still in school, I was in college, focusing on, the two. And it's been, welcoming transition. It's been a lot easier. I've got, a lot more time to focus on, the professional side of things and the content side of things, which of course was what I wanted to do in the end. It wasn't what I wanted to do originally. I think I was, thinking about staying in school, but in the end I chose to do this full time. And it's obviously, it brings a lot of stress at times, but I'd say we have relatively simple jobs at times, so it's really nice.
If I could just follow up on that as well, you were quite heavy on content and pioneering that type of the transition between content and professional, pushing forward, that other Rocket League players would probably follow in your footsteps of doing that type of stuff to grow their personal brands. Do you still think that Rocket League does lack personal brands and that more people should kind of focus on the content side of things as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll always recommend, pros and, other personalities in the scene to do content on the side. But at the same time, I understand that it's not for everyone. It takes, sometimes it takes specific type of people to do it, and that's not suited to everyone, and that's okay. If people and pros want to go through their own career and through their own journey, not doing anything like that, then that's completely their decision. But if asked about it, or if they just need a final push, I'll always recommend it. It brings up so many opportunities, so many more doors for you to open, and it's just kind of another thing that you can put your time into.
Question for you, Chronic. What's been the biggest lesson you've learned this year being surrounded by veterans of the game?
Biggest lesson has probably just been like the teamwork and mental aspect of things. We're I think all just like great teammates to each other and like pick each other up when we're down, and just even like mid-series, it allows for a lot of resilience. Just like having good mental as a team.
Thank you.
You were missing Allushin during spring. How is it having him back here, and does it make a big difference?
Yeah, I think I speak for the team here. I think we were all like, you know, we felt, I'd say we felt like naked, you know, not having him on stage with us. That's what we said to each other. It was like we didn't have that extra kind of layer of comfort, and it's exactly what he brings and more, you know. So it's very nice having him back, and it's, you know, I've played on stage, you know, without coaches before, and I thought it was okay back then, and then back in spring major it was a bit, it wasn't, you know, you didn't have that extra guy behind you. We did a good job, you know, I think at the spring major personally, and we did well to cope with it, but now I think that the whole team's there. It's better.
Daddy's back.
I guess following up from that, this might sound a bit harsh, but I mean it in the nicest way because we don't get to see what coaches get up to. But what do you do as a
What do I
coach?
do? So I think it kind of varies from team to team depending on what your players need. I'm in a pretty blessed situation where at least two of them were very experienced players and very vocal and outspoken, so I don't need to like hard coach them like you would a team of beginners, you know, like everyone on this team has a voice, has an opinion, so I kind of try to keep all the personalities in check, and you know, if I have to put my input as well, I'll give them my input, and yeah, I mean, it's always changing depending on the event. If things are going well, I really don't want to involve myself too much, you know, you don't want to make it about you, and so yeah, so things have been well this tournament, so we'll just keep doing the same thing.
And after you won the fall major, did you feel like other teams were copying your playstyle?
Yeah, most definitely. It's not about, you know, do we feel it, we know it. Teams have come to us and said that they looked over our replays and tried to play in that same way. I don't think that happens as meta shifts throughout Rocket League. You know, you always want to be like the best team. So yeah, that's what happens, I'd say for sure.
Yeah, I think just to add on, I mean, you said it already, but I think it's like FaZe publicly said that they, you know, tried to emulate parts of the playstyle. Of course, you're never going to have two teams that are identical, but yeah, there was a lot of good things from, you know, that full form from us that had to be copied. Just, you know, fundamental parts of Rocket League that certain teams were missing. But yeah, I think a lot of teams kind of looked over and learned from it.
And did you try to play up to that? Did you try to adapt to people taking your playstyle?
I think, you know, FaZe started to get into a very good form that we struggled with. We got first in the regional coming back, which is, you know, a good result from us. We got second in the next one, which was still a pretty good result for us at the time. And, you know, FaZe started to look really good. And, of course, we had to change things up to try and, you know, beat our main competitor. I mean, we also started getting, like, we also had more confidence from Fall, so naturally that would change and shift, you know, individual and team play styles, whether you wanted to or not. So whether it was our decision or not, I think, you know, things changed, and you try and come up with new ideas every split. You know, a team, if we just stuck the same play style or stuck the same way, you never know what's going to happen. You always kind of have to keep on the lookout for who's changing what and, you know, what's coming at you.
Yes, I have a question. Where do you see yourself as a team right now currently placed in this world order with the French super teams and your chances to win the entire tournament?
Our chances are what we make them. You know, if we go into this not wanting to win, we're not going to win. I think by rankings, you know, I think you can put us fourth, third, you know, up for debate. I don't think any lower than that would be respectful towards us. You know, we're still a major winning team. But yeah, I think we still have every right to be able to win this World Championship.
100% agreed.
Noly, we saw you yesterday performing back to kind of that form that we saw in the fall major, probably probably the best that we've kind of seen you for a couple of weeks, couple of months. How are you feeling going into the rest of the event? What's your preparation been like leading up to it?
I'm not trying to place too much value into my GT performance. I mean, I couldn't perform like that without both of these on my team. You know, Chronic and Jack both had, even though it wasn't visible, masterclasses. You know, they helped me be able to perform the way I should. You know, I was feeling it on that day and they facilitated that. As great teammates should. But I think going forward, we're just going to keep doing us, make sure that we're composed and take it one step at a time.
I got a question for Allushin. So you're one of the players who retired and became a coach when you had the most potential to carry on playing. Do you ever get thoughts about going back to playing and returning? Because there's definitely potential there.
Of course. You know, I've competed for, I think, 5 or 6 years, so obviously watching everyone play it makes me want to come back, but I've already, like, set that chapter aside, and even though I get urges every now and then, like, I think my heart is more with, like, coaching, managing side of things, so.
Except for Game Elite. Quick announcement, me and Allushin are playing the 2v2.
Oh yeah.
That's definitely potential. Alu's been he's been running the 1902s lobbies.
Yeah.
He's the main man in there right now. So.
Do you think, or has the typical EU playstyle changed, especially from when you two were playing in EU?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I disagree. I think EU's always tried to keep close to the ball, play as a team, play for the team, and it's shown that with Vitality, Carmine and BDS, you know, they win games by being scrappy, and it shows that on the field. So yeah, I think it's somewhat stayed the same, but elevated to a different kind of mechanical game.
Yeah, I agree. The playstyle has not changed, just the mechanics have gotten better over time.
Mm-hmm.
Just on a similar token, over the last couple of weeks and months, it's been debated that NA has kind of plateaued in that type of style. There's not, apart from yourselves, obviously, with the European input, there's not that much reinvention. What do you think has to happen in North America for that to happen and for teams to start progressing again?
I think motherfuckers need to be playing the game. You know. No, I mean, this debate goes around all the time. We talked about this as a team. The fans and viewership, they always say, you know, oh, this team's doing better, this team's looking worse. But once it gets to the line, it always sort of balances out.
Yeah.
And it's shown that right now. You know, G2 are coming in hot. FaZe obviously aren't having the best moments, but there's still is, and obviously complexity. Going up against Carmine next, you know, they very well could take that game. So.
What
Yeah.
about for like the North American, or the American players over there? Because a lot of the import teams are finding success, and maybe there's only G2 and FaZe that are up there at the moment. What needs to happen for more people like Chronic to start coming through?
The issue is, I have a very different opinion to this compared to the general narrative going around the scene. Is that you constantly see stuff and comments and Twitter posts, whatever, Reddit posts, whatever you want. You'll see that the talent's there in North America and stuff like that. You just need people to give them a chance. I disagree. I think that Europe just has a far deeper pool. We see it time and time again. These teams from Europe, they don't just pluck them out of nowhere like people keep saying. I don't know how that narrative got chosen and stuck with. The players that they pick have proven themselves on bubble teams. They've had good results elsewhere. And there's not really many outliers in that pool. For some reason, the general community seem to say that these players are just being plucked out of thin air when they're clearly not. They're proven. NA does not have that talent right now. The players aren't performing at that level. You know, in bubble teams, they're not getting the chances because they don't deserve the chances right now. It's a harsh reality, but it's true. The players aren't good enough right now. They're not, I'm sorry.
I want to ask about that because we spoke to some of the French players and asked them about where their success came from, why so many French players are doing well. And all of them mentioned that when they began to play with other pros from the French scene, that's where they developed the most. Do you believe that top NA pros need to start finding young talent and helping them and nurturing them? Or is it less possible to do that in such a large country where everyone's so spread out?
Well, I mean, it also comes down to the not picking up these players and like playing with them, but being like someone who you idolize. You know, when you look at America, the people who tend to get idolized are the ones who don't play the game. They're not good people to idolize. That's definitely what America lacks. Whereas when the French people were coming up, you know, why they're so dominant now, they had people to influence them like K-Dot, Fairy Peak, Alpha, who else?
Farah Shazat.
K-Dot. You can say K-Dot for like 5 times. You know.
Yeah, these are players who show that they want to win and they have good attitudes about it, which America, well, the players in America tend to not show that same similarity.
I guess to be on to that, Corin, did you have many top pros who had years of experience who you were able to party up with in rank and communicate with much?
I mean, when I was coming up and I got like to a very high level, 6-mans was still like very much a thing. So I was able to like play with high tier pros and just a lot of good players in 6-mans and kind of get a lot better with the game through that. And that was kind of just like before it died and ranked became the main way to improve and get noticed. So yeah, my experience with it was like very different.
Who do you see coming up in NA? I feel like Shopify Rebellion does have a chance. The players on there.
Why do you say that? Are they not up already?
Yeah, okay, but to be more established as a top NA team.
Yeah.
I think they're improving at their own rates. That should be acceptable. You know, not everybody needs to go from 1600 to pro within 2 weeks. You know, I think they're showing good developments, and I think that the narrative of Shopify being used as, you know, these young players, what can push them into the next part. You know, they're going at their own pace. They're winning a bunch of off-season tournaments, and I think once they get a third who, you know, not to have a god memory, but once they get a third who, you know, is that player that can facilitate them properly, that'll push them there. But it's nothing to do with anything else.
Yeah. No, please, yeah.
So, what is the best way, in your opinion, to, let's call it gatekeeping that happens in NA that you can change? Is that something you have to bring over from Europe, that young playstyle that you have to show on stream or in the NA league that you have to integrate over the next year? Is that the big mission, to find new upcoming LA talent and to change the whole scene and how it feels there?
Yeah, I think I don't know if I share the opinion across, you know, my other teammates there, but I don't think the gatekeeping is there. Like the general narrative it seems to take. I really don't. Like my last point was that I just don't think there's talent right now to pick up. You know, there's absolute potential talent, but it's not clear. And you don't want to take like huge risks all the time. We took a risk on Chronic, but it was a calculated risk and it paid off. If it didn't pay off, then who knows where it'd be, you know what I mean? And those types of risks are the ones you don't hear about, and they kind of fizzle out. You only hear about the ones that truly succeed, and they're few and far between. So I don't believe the top talent in NA has been gatekeeping. It's not like they have kind of a group that's been, you know, forming over the last 6 years of like the old players like Chicago, JNAPs have been like, yeah, let's keep these players out of the loop. I don't know if that's happening. What can they do to fix it? Or what can we do to, you know, bring the lower level of talent up in NA to make more top pros in the future? I have no idea. You know, I don't know. I think it's a common thing across, you know, industries, is that the person or the group of people that perform first and win first and win primarily, it kind of carries on throughout the years. Europe won first, or they won a lot very early on in the season of RLCS, and it's kind of happening now because they had that kind of breakthrough first.
Where do you see yourself in the ranking, in the ecosystem, if you would move to EU as a team, and I want to also know as individual players?
If we had the exact same season, as in terms of form, going through I think we'd be in the exact same spot. I don't think anyone was beating us in form. I don't think anyone was beating us in form at all, to be honest. Winter, we were still a good team. We just had the second best team in the world in our region beating us. And And yeah, I think we were better than Moist and Spring, to be honest with you, and I think we would have made the 5th spot over them. So I think we'd be in the exact same spot, to be honest with you. Individuals, I think the same thing again.
You
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. Like, he's a smart guy. He knows what he's talking about. Yeah, completely agree.
Jack, maybe just to bring it right back round full circle, because we're here, because you guys are world champion contenders. Going into the games on the weekend, how's the vibe from the camp, and are you enjoying your time in Dusseldorf?
Here to win a world championship. You know, that's all the kind of the, you know, the mindset is right now. We're just focused on the games, and that's all there is.
Yeah, Dusseldorf, I mean, I haven't really explored much. I know most of the players have been going around on the scooters. We had one night where we went off for ramen. That was pretty good. We haven't really experienced much. We're just at the venue practicing and then straight back to the hotel to chill out.
I've got to ask just a bit of a fun question for you, Noly. What do you think of Stumpy's impression of you?
I haven't listened to it yet.
Do you want to listen to it now?
No, definitely not. No, I don't think that's. I'm not prepared. You know, I'm gonna build myself up for it.
Okay.
Any more questions? Good. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much.